All right, I think we've recovered our equanimity. The price of gold is at $1,214 per ounce, and that means it is up $4. Got it? Power company PG&E, as in California. They're being sued over those massive California wildfires. Judge Napolitano is here. Is PG&E facing massive liability?
Yes and no. I mean, they are facing massive liability.
Don't do a mosque on me.
Oh, there's a seed I want to plant on March 19th. I got to talk to you about the seed. Here's the law. Because they are a public utility, they are backed up by the state. So if they exhaust all of their reserves and even have to sell real estate, who comes in and pays the liability for a human life lost and property destroyed? The state. Is the state going to do that, or is the state going to limit its own liability? It has limited its own liability.
Whoa. Let me follow the chain of money. If liability is placed on PG&E,
right,
they can just exhaust their own reserves.
Right.
And then the payments go to the state.
Yes.
Which is limiting how much it will pay out.
Precisely.
Which means
that a lot of innocent people will not be made whole.
Got it.
Because the legislature of the state of California has decided that the risk should not be spread amongst the taxpayers. California government has $6 billion in cash in the bank. There's no other government anywhere in the United States except the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, another story for another time, that has that kind of cash. But they don't want to spend it. They do not want to spend it on making whole innocent people who suffered horrifically. They'd rather spend it on their social experiments.
So the bottom line here is that a lot of people are going to get hurt, financially, I'm talking now, financially, and very probably electricity rates in California will go through the roof.
You're exactly correct. And why is this happening? Because these decisions are being made by bureaucrats and politicians, not by free market forces. In a real free market, the public utility would be required to have sufficient insurance reserves to cover any kind of catastrophe. And they have reinsurance. They don't have that. Why do they not have it? Because their reinsurer, I'm doing it in quotes, is the government.
Okay. I want to cover one other story. Yesterday, I watched President Trump support the change in, what's the official name of it? I can't remember, the change in sentencing law.
Well, it's a prison reform.
Prison reform.
There are many changes, but the core change is the change in sentencing.
No more minimum sentences.
There is nothing more frustrating. I've sentenced over 1,000 people in my prior career, everything from jaywalking to murder. By the way, why would I send somebody to jail for jaywalking? Because if they did it 3 times, the statute forced me to do so.
Really?
There is nothing more horrific to the judicial mind, more upsetting to trying to do justice, than when you have to check a box on a spreadsheet, put in the pluses and minuses, and the number at the bottom of the spreadsheet dictates the sentence, rather than your own intellectual examination of which is going to do more harm, setting this person free or putting him in jail. Now, putting somebody in jail makes almost everybody. There are exceptions to this. Bernie Kerik is a former jailer and now a great crusader for prison reform. Putting somebody in jail invariably makes them worse. The jail should be reserved for the worst among us who cannot be trusted on the streets.
But hardliners would say you're going to get rampant crime because you don't put them away.
I don't think that President Trump would have had that unity yesterday if Jeff Sessions were still the Attorney General, because Jeff Sessions is in that old line, hard line, law and order, lock him up and throw away the key camp.
Does this mean an end to 3 strikes and you're in jail?
Generally it does. Most of those 3-strike laws are state laws. It certainly means the end of it in any federal system. Look at the political imagery. Van Jones and Cory Booker and Mike Lee and Rand Paul and all kinds of folks in between being embraced by Donald Trump in the Oval Office yesterday. You talk about bipartisanship, it's extraordinary.
It says a lot. That was a good one, Judge. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. No more planting seeds.
No. I'll be warned off that.